exciting news for Liverpool. That's why we've got Stevie Nicol here with us. Stevie, it seems like the Reds have got their man. Have a look at this tweet from, of course, Liverpool themselves, announcing that they have indeed agreed a fee for Virgil van Dijk from Southampton. They say Liverpool Football Club can confirm they have reached an agreement with Southampton for the transfer of Van Dijk. Stevie, reactions?
Fantastic for Liverpool. It's the one thing that Liverpool have needed, and the one thing Liverpool fans have been asking for a while.
Oh yes, and he's been asking for it as well.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, this guy ticks all the boxes. He's 25. That means he's got at least 5, 6, maybe even 7 years still at the top. He's 6'4". He's an absolute monster. He's got a lovely right peg, and he plays football. I mean, ticks every box that you need.
Well, what about this one? Because let me tell you, last season he had only 12 Premier League appearances. The season before he only had 21. He's had a couple of injuries, so he hasn't really played full seasons so far yet, at least in the Premier League. So for £75 million, how do Liverpool know what they're getting? I don't want to say worth it, but how are they so sure this is what they're getting?
Forget the price tag. Forget the price tag.
Because we're used to it.
It's the market, and somebody's only worth what the market is pushing. So regardless of the price, as I said, he's 25. You know, there's not a player born who hasn't had some injuries. You could argue that a guy who hasn't had a full season in the Premier League is a bit of a gamble. I would suggest it would be a huge gamble not to take this guy. He has so much potential, and if all it's going to take is to make sure he stays fit, I think I'll take that gamble.
All right, well, look at you, Liverpool, buying defenders at the price of strikers. Watch out, Manchester City. Well, Stevie Nicol is convinced that Virgil van Dijk is exactly what Liverpool need. All about money these days in football. Stevie Nicol is here with me. We're talking about this because I can think of possibly one manager that has recently been moaning about budgets for targets.
Really?
I mean, I don't know really who. All right, we know it's Jose Mourinho, but Stevie, how do you compare it back in the day from when, because you've managed and of course you've played, to what we're seeing now? What has caused this drastic change?
Well, the fact that teams have more money means they're spending more money. But, you know, it's all relevant. There were teams back when I was playing who had more money than other teams. But it didn't necessarily mean that they were the best teams. You know, it's one thing to spend money, it's another thing to spend it wisely.
Exactly. So should that be the number one thing instead of just throwing money, knowing that you have it, and just buying whoever you can and hope that they turn into a star? Shouldn't there be more thought process behind these things? Well,
we tend to think and hope they are, but when you've spent over $400 million, as Mourinho has, and is complaining that he needs more, I think it's about time he started doing some of his magic on the training field, just like back in my day. You know, Manchester United back in my day were one of those teams who actually had more money than anybody else, and who actually spent more money than anybody else, but they still couldn't win the title. You know, it's sometimes about what you do with your team. How do you get your team to play together? How do you find the right style for your team so that the talent you have gels well and you become a flourishing team? How about trying some of that?
Well, we know that, of course, the market has changed and that these players' prices have to do with that changing market. I know that you'd be priceless, Stevie. We could never put a price on you now. But what about some of the others, people that you know very well, like Kenny Dalglish or even like a Mark Hughes? How much do you think these big names probably would be worth now? Would it justify the prices that we're seeing now?
Again, listen, I was around when Trevor Francis was the first £1 million player and everybody was aghast. Now we're looking at Neymar's that go for 220 million, was it?
For defenders going for the price of strikers.
We got Van Dijk going for £75 million. Listen, the price tag I never like to talk about because it's only relevant to the money that's available now. At the end of the day, people like Shearer, people like Dalglish, like Rush, people like Mark Hughes that was at Man United and then went to Barcelona. These are guys who every single team in the world would want to play for them, and they would pay, if they had the money, the going rate.
Stevie Nicol getting ready here with me to tackle transfer rate, Stevie, because we are nearing January. You'll tell me which ones you think are hits and which ones are just flat out misses. Emre Can, this hits close to home for you to Juventus.
Well, it's not going to happen in January, but I don't see how this doesn't happen. He's out of contract. All the noises are that he's on his way, and with Keita coming in as well, he's probably thinking, am I going to play? So I think this is an absolute bang-on Stonewaller. This is a hit.
All around. Kevin Trapp, the goalkeeper at Paris Saint-Germain, to Liverpool.
Again, this is another summer one that's possible. I'm not saying it's going to be a hit. I'm actually going to say it's a miss, but it is possible. You know, depending on what happens, in my opinion, with Donnarumma at Milan, then it's possible Trapp could end up at Liverpool. Certainly, you know, with Mignolet right now, Liverpool need an upgrade. Trapp's an upgrade.
Oh, you guys are so harsh on Mignolet, I still think. But Kevin Trapp.
Have you seen him play recently?
I've seen him play recently.
There you go.
All right, Bonucci to Chelsea. Would that be a hit or a miss?
This is a tough one. Bonucci, since he left Juventus and went to Milan, has had an absolute stinker. I mean, the guy that had the black and white jersey that nobody could get past has gone and disappeared.
Night and day.
I'm not so sure that Chelsea want to take a chance on him coming back to his best. So I'm going to say this is a miss.
All right, another miss. Paulo Dybala to Paris Saint-Germain, as they seem to be willing to build this super team, but you're not convinced. Why, Stevie?
No, I'm not having it. Who's he going to play instead of? He's not playing centre forward as Cavani is.
Big teams with money like to just buy players to
Mbappe.
have them. Real Madrid do it. Maybe
Neymar.
PSG's doing it.
If Dybala wants to go to PSG and sit on his behind on the bench, then it's a hit. But unfortunately, this has got no chance of happening.
It would be such a shame to see someone like Dybala sitting on a bench.
Sure.
Finally, someone you know a lot about, Malcolm. From Bordeaux to Manchester United, 20-year-old attacker. What do you think? What could Jose see in him?
Listen, Manchester United have already tried this with a young French player in Martial. And you could say that Martial, although he sometimes starts at United, he is in the French national squad.
He's come into his own this season somewhat.
Right. Do they need another project, Manchester United?
No.
I don't think they do, and that's why I'm going to say this, unfortunately for Malcolm, is a miss.
All right, only one hit on your radar today. Thank you so much, Stevie Nicol. We'll continue tracking all of these transfer rumors as they happen or don't happen here at ESPNFC.com. For some more of Transferator, and if it's a man who knows if there are any whisperings going on, it is this man right here, Gab Marcotti. Gab, let's talk about Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Could he extend his stay at Man United, and would it be a hit or a miss?
He could, but there's no reason to think that this is going to happen. This is going to happen now. You know, he needs to play games. He needs to decide that he wants to be there. And if there's one thing we know about Ibrahimovic, he's in no rush whatsoever. If he's there and he's scoring, he'll stay. But in terms of, presumably there is a temporal limit on this. So in terms of Zlatan extending now, there's no reason to think this will happen.
So a miss to start things off. Sticking with Man United, Daley Blind to leave Man United. Would that be a hit or a miss all around?
I think United would like to see him out of there. I think they appreciate what he brings and his versatility, but the reality is now Rojo's back, Lindelof is in there. At some point, they'll get a left back that they're happy with. It's not going to be him. So I think, if maybe not January, but could be the end of the season, but I don't think he has a future necessarily United, if they can swing a move.
Well, just when I thought everything was going well at Bayern Munich, here we go with this interesting one that made me go, eh? Jurgen Klopp to Bayern Munich.
So the thinking here is that obviously Bayern have Jupp Heynckes just for the summer. I think it's pretty open secret. They're enamored with Hoffenheim's Julian Nagelsmann.
Yes.
They've been linked with Thomas Tuchel as well, which I don't necessarily see. I think there's a lack of clear thinking here on the part of Bayern. I still think Nagelsmann's in pole position. But you know, when you're pursuing something and it's getting difficult, and it is getting more difficult, then what you do is say, well, if I don't get him, I get somebody else. I think this is just paper talk. I also don't necessarily think that Klopp would necessarily want to go, not at this stage. So I'm going to say miss.
Gelson Martins, this is why I was kind of confused about the Klopp one, because he's still trying to build his strong Liverpool team. Gelson Martins has been linked. Would that be a hit for him to leave and go there?
Again, I don't think this is January. And I think right now, when you look at the Liverpool squad, I'm not sure it's necessarily a priority either. So again, in the short term, I say miss.
And finally, let's go to the scene in Italy, somewhere close to your heart. Manolas from Roma to Chelsea, hit or miss?
Again, this is a purely contractual thing. There's talk of him getting a new contract, and obviously Roma have done business with Chelsea before when they sold Rudiger in the summer, and he was linked to Chelsea in the summer. I think in the end he extends his deal. I think the reality is if you're Chelsea right now, in terms of that three centre back setup, you've got Rudiger, you've got Azpilicueta, you've got Christensen, you've got Cahill you can get another year out of, and there's David Luiz floating around who may or may not come back. But remember too, Chelsea right now don't have a director of football because Michael Emenalo left, and there's still going to be some questions whether Antonio Conte returns next season. So I don't see them going to committing money this January on a centre back. Certainly not somebody like Manolas who would cost you a bundle. So I'm going to say miss.
Okay, so only one hit for Gavin. I think a lot of people will agree with you on that. Continue tracking all of these rumors to see if they do eventually happen, whether it's in January or in the summer, here at ESPNFC.com. Burley joined me ready to tackle this edition of Transfer Rata. He's going to tell me whether he thinks they could be hits or misses. Let's start off with Jordi Alba at Barcelona. Would Spurs be a hit or a miss for him?
Well, he's playing at Barcelona. He scored a great goal against Valencia from that little pass from Messi. Why would he leave Barcelona to go to Tottenham? Champions League winners, La Liga winners, potential Champions League winners again this year. See what happens. To go to a team who are not in the title race in England, have got two left backs in Rose and Davis.
Rose could leave to Man United.
Well, Rose is talking about Rose is going to leave. So although they might go for another left back, Tottenham, I don't think that one's going to happen.
Van Aanholt at Crystal Palace. Would Everton be a good move for him?
Well, I think this is something that could happen primarily because Allardyce has worked with him at Crystal Palace, and only for that reason am I going to say this potentially could happen. I presume that's why it's up there, but I've no idea into the thinking of whether Allardyce will bring him in, but he has worked with the player, so that could happen. One
that could possibly break my heart, because I do love me some Juan Mata, to leave Manchester United. Would that be a good move all around?
Well, I mean, are we talking to leave here in January or leave in the summer, or just, in
the next two transfer
5 years' time, or what? I mean, where's the end of this?
In the near future, so January or summer?
I mean, it could happen. He played in the Champions League last night. He had a lovely little pass for Rashford over the top. He hasn't played regular, but Mkhitaryan hasn't played particularly well. He certainly won't be leaving in January, but I think he will potentially leave in the summer.
All right, Sandro.
Not in January.
Sandro from Juventus, would a move to Chelsea suit him?
Well, the move to Chelsea might suit him, and they reportedly bid around 60 million from last year. He seems to be not flavour of the month at Juventus. The problem here is like, you're really diving into a haystack. There's no Michael Emenalo at Chelsea, the director of football. He's now at Monaco, and everybody's talking about Antonio Conte is going to leave in the summer.
Yeah.
So, and he's not going to go in January because both clubs are in the Champions League knockout stages, and so therefore this transfer, if it does happen, can only happen in the summer, and we don't even know who's going to be in charge at Chelsea. So for that reason, I'm going to have to say no.
And finally, this one's been floating around of recent times, of course, because Raheem Sterling has been scoring left, right and centre for Man City to Real Madrid. Craig believes that is a huge miss. Why?
He's playing well.
Is he not up to the Madrid standard?
He's playing well. But if they're going after people, they're going after De Bruyne, they're going after Eden Hazard, they're going after people like that, not Raheem Sterling. As good as he's been for City, there are better players out there in that position.
All right, thanks so much to Craig Burley. Continue tracking all of these rumours here at ESPNFC.com.
Your second wild card will soon become available at the turn of the year. Don't use it if you're doing well. That would be stupid. You've got this far without needing a wild card. Keep it for double game weeks. This is directed at those of you who really need to play catch up. It's available at the turn of the year, and it should be used if you need to make up ground. Now, you'll see Son in this. Son Heung-min from Spurs. Now, Spurs don't play in game week 21. This is more for the next few game weeks. You've got a double game week coming up for Spurs and West Ham players. You should already have someone like Kane or Salah. I'm not going to tell you the obvious. That would be daft. Here's some players to maybe consider if you use your wild card over the next couple of weeks. Let's start with the Brighton goalkeeper, Matt Ryan, in goal. They're becoming pretty hard to beat. They're not really showing that much flair going forward, but defensively, with the fixtures coming up, they are a decent shout to maybe get a couple of clean sheets, and he is cheap. Victor Moses, John Joe Kenny, and Andrew Robertson. Now, with this wildcard, think about it, you get a free transfer every single week. So this isn't going to be the team that you end the season with. So think about maybe going with the next 5 game week fixtures, the next 10 game week fixtures, and picking your wildcard based on that. It's up to you what you want to do this season, because the strikers haven't been the big points scorers, because a lot of them have been rested, apart from Harry Kane. Now, Sergio Aguero is going to be a big gamble, but he's only owned by 18%. He has been on form of late, but he is a rotation risk. Do so at your own risk. And with Giroud out, Lacazette of Arsenal as well as someone that you should be thinking about. There's a lot of guys over the next few weeks that may come into contention. Low-owned players, that's what you're looking for your wildcard if you need to play catch-up. Gylfi Sigurdsson, for example, at Everton. There's a lot of wildcard players and possibilities that it's worth you considering. You don't need to use it right now, but if you're playing catch-up, I would recommend that you do. Happy New Year, everyone.
Of some interest to you, Philippe Coutinho on his future. He says, I'm at Liverpool and I always do my best when I have the opportunity to play, respecting the jersey and the supporters. I do not know how the future is going to be. What will happen in January, we will know it in January. I do not know if there will be an offer. Last summer, there was a job offer in the same way that happens with any employee, and I was interested in it. Since I stayed, I have played with will and desire. Of course, a lot happened in the summer, but my will is always to play and do the best wherever I am. That has not changed. I'm here at Liverpool. We have a lot of games, and I try to do my best to help.
So you want me to decipher that?
Yeah.
So basically,
I think we kind of know what he's trying to say. Yeah, I want out, but I suppose I'll do my job while I'm here. But hey, clubs, if you want to take me in January, take me.
you know, during the summer, I had a real problem that Liverpool may let him go. And I said that they had to make a statement by keeping him. They've done that. I think it's clear Coutinho wants to go. But you have to give him a lot of credit. His performances, considering what could have been for him, have been absolutely immense. And I don't expect between now and the end of the season for that to change, because he ain't going anywhere in January. I would not be shocked, though, if he does move in the summer. Liverpool have to get some sort of war chest and bolster the defence and buy themselves a defence, because going forward, they are phenomenal. They're as good as anybody. But defensively, they are shocking. They've made the statement. They didn't let Coutinho go. But now I think for the good of the whole team, in order to bring a defence to Liverpool, then you sell Coutinho and you use that money to make a difference.
The thing is, before Neymar, I would have said Philippe Coutinho was a £75 million player. Liverpool turned down twice